Hi, welcome to Get a Clue, Casual Gamer. Today I'm going to do a list for you. About a year and 4 months ago, I became fascinated with roll and write games. What I like about them is, well, they don't take up a lot of space. Some are very small, and even the larger ones aren't that big. And their presence on the table doesn't have to be overwhelming. And most of them, not all, but most of them, and all the ones I'm going to talk about are casual level games. There are some very heavy thinky ones out there that have just come out in the last year or so, but when I went into researching roll and writes about a year and 4 months ago, and I did a video, and I didn't edit it at all. It ended up being almost an hour, 57 minutes if I remember correctly, and it is on this channel, so you can go, and I go into information about each one, and there are it's my top 20 roll and writes is what I did, and it wasn't my favorite because I really didn't know anything about them much, except that I was watching videos and people were talking about them and they looked interesting, so I wanted to learn more, and I watched about 12 hours worth of people's top 10 roll and write videos, recordings, and made a list of the most popular ones. And out of those top 20 that I got down to, I ended up hearing about 73 different roll and writes, but some were older, some weren't as popular as others. I took the top 20 and I made that video. When I was making that video, I realized that I only owned one of them. I owned already, before I even started that list, I owned number 20 out of the top 20. And I had a gift card that I had gotten for Christmas, and so I bought the number 1 using that gift card. And I'll tell you which one it is later. But right now, this list is my favorite top 10 roll and write or flip and write games that can be played by one person. Because very often I find myself wanting to play a game, and especially during all that COVID time last year, it just made sense to make sure I had enough that could be played by myself, because that's what I had. And so this list, well, just so that you know, out of those 20 last year, I now own physically 9 of them, and I also own one of them only as an app on my phone and my iPad. But I also own 2 of them, which are my honorable mentions today, because I own the actual game, but I tend to play it more often as the app. And so I wanted to give you a heads up about some great apps that you don't have to have the hard copy of it to be able to enjoy a game of roll and write. Okay, so let's get started. Let's get a clue, C-L-U-E, about my favorite top 10 roll and write and flip and writes. Okay, my number 10 is Hex Roller. Hex Roller was on that list, but it is on, I have since got, through the year I was watching for sales and for special deals, and so a lot of these I got at specific times because they were on sale. This is it's and right. You use dice, Hex Roller, hello, and you fill in a little pad paper. It comes with a pad of paper, and you fill in numbers dependent on placement and such. That's how you get the most points. Excuse me. So Hex Roller, it came out in 2019. You're going to notice something about the dates that these came out in. It came out in 2019, and it takes for one person, it takes about 15 minutes to play the full game. So Hex Roller is my number 10, came out in 2019, and it takes about 15 minutes to play. I'm going to make a pile down here. My number 9 is Imperial Settlers Roll and Write. This was on that list, but it is my number 9, and it came out in 2019, and it actually is a little bit more involved. It takes about 30 minutes to play the full game. What I like about this is it has a whole stack of individual, let's see, how many is it? 48 adventure mode sheets, and no two are alike. So for really, this is absolutely great for a solo player. It is good for multiple players, but it is excellent for a solo player because there are so many choices of adventures that you are going to be able to choose from, and you're building your empire by rolling dice and getting food and stone and wood and those kind of things, and from that you get different ways, and sometimes trying to get it to roll over and multiply depending on your choices in this roll and write. It's a little bit more on the complicated side than definitely some of these others, but it's really not. Don't let that scare you. These are all casual games. They're all in the casual game level. Imperial Settlers Roll and Write. My number 9. Okay, my number 8 is a great, I own the regular game, but this is a great implementation of different mechanics that are used in the full game, which would take up a table space, yet this can take up very little space. My number 8 is Castles of Burgundy, the dice game. Castles of Burgundy, the dice game. The card game is a table hog. The full regular Castles of Burgundy game takes up some good table space, but the dice game is very compact and is easily played by one person, and it comes with the pad with the layout of your kingdom. And your castles in your area. There's 4 castles on the sheet, and you're rolling dice and manipulating those dice to get points, and also some rolling along points. It is the manufacturer says 15 to 30 minutes. I go, oh, I don't think so. I would go more on the 30-minute side, because unless you're really throwing dice and writing and throwing dice and writing, if you take your time, it's going to take you 30 minutes or so for this game. But it is a nice, good, it gives you choices type of game. It's not just numbers and you're Xing out. No, you actually have choices of filling in or purchasing different types of terrain and buildings. So that is Castles of Burgundy. It came out in 2017. I didn't say about Imperial Settlers. It came out in 2019. So Hex Roller came out in 2019. Imperial Settlers Roll and Write came out in 2019. Castles of Burgundy, the dice game, came out in 2017. My number 7. Now this one just came out this past year in 2021, the green version. There are 4 different colors of Railroad ink. It's my number 7. The original Railroad ink came out in 2018 in blue and red. And then this past year it came out in green and yellow in 2021. It is a game where you are rolling dice to find out what either railroads or highways you have to write someplace on your card. And it's a wipe off type of card, so it's very reusable. Plays up to 4 people, I think, or is there more than that in here? No, up to 4, 1 to 4 players. It came out, this green one came out in 2021, but I would say it takes about 30 minutes. The manufacturer says 30 to 45, and if you have multiple people playing, I would say more like 45, but for a single person, a solo player, it should not take more than 30 minutes. A lot of these take about 30 minutes. Some of the smaller ones take 15 to 20 minutes, but some of the little bit thinkier ones, the ones that you have a little bit more manipulation to do, can take about 30 minutes. None of these should take you longer than that. None of them. But this is my number 7 Railroad ink, and I have the green, but there's red, blue, green, and yellow. And you take your pick. They're a little bit different, each one. They can be played together. So here you go, Railroad ink. Now we get to my number 6. Number 6 came out in, my number 6 came out in 2019. Are you noticing that there's a lot of 2019s here? This is my 3rd 2019 in the bottom half of my top 10. This is Cartographers, which is very popular and just came out with an expansion for it. In fact, I think it's a standalone expansion where you can just play it, or you can combine the two and make something even more. I don't have a lot of expansions because I tend to I'd rather buy more base games and have more choice of games than actually get a lot of expansions for a game. But Cartographers, you are creating a you're mapping out the territory for your queen. And so in Cartographers, it's a flip and write. In fact, I think it's my first flip and write out of the ones I'm showing you here. This is, you each have this little sheet here, and it's cards, and you flip the card to show you what you can draw next, and you will be drawing different terrain like villages and forests and water, sometimes around mountains, sometimes not, or sometimes near the edge. There's another terrain, I think like farmland is the other terrain. And you just are creating a puzzly setup depending on how the cards flip up and what you have to work with. So no 2 games are going to be alike, ever. And it is a little thinky, it's puzzly, it's not heavy, it's puzzly. I tend to like puzzly games without them being too heavy. I don't want a brain burner. I want just to have a choice and make my choice. And I can do that with Cartographers, my number 6, and it takes about 30 minutes for a solo player. It could take a little bit longer for multiple players, but for a solo player, I would go with 30 minutes. Now we get to my top 5. Number 5 is Medici, the dice game. Medici, the dice game, came out in 2020. And in it, you have 3 boats to fill with supplies. And you have all different kinds of supplies. Your boats, your ships are at the wharf, and you're trying to fill them, and you're throwing dice to find out what kind of items can you choose from to fill your boats and get a nice cumulative type of points. And so it's each ship gets a little bit larger, and again, it's kind of like you have choices, but it's a little puzzly. It's a little bit of chance. It's like what shows up on those dice is what you have to work with. And it's called Medici, the dice game. And it takes about 20 minutes. It's not a long game. It's about 20 minutes. It's one of the shorter ones. And it's small footprint, the sheet of paper, and the dice. That's it, and something to write with. That's all you need. And it really is a fun, light puzzle, light choice game. Medici. I keep on wanting to say it kind of like, American, but it's Medici, the dice game. My number 5. My number 4 is a very popular game that came out last year in 2021 called Super Mega Lucky Box. Now, when you play this solo, basically you're playing against your highest score. That's what you're trying to do. You're trying to get the highest score you possibly can. This is a very easy game, very simple game. This is a very easy one to bring to the table. Everyone can learn it quickly. I believe I've done a video specifically about it. I think of it as a cross between, kind of like tic-tac-toe. Basically, tic-tac-toe and bingo. It's a flip and write. You have cards that have numbers, and everyone has some little bingo style cards that have a grid of 9, 3 by 3, and when the number shows up, you cross it off of one of your cards, and you just try to get the best score you can, and with some little extra things like the lightning bolts and the moon crescents. And it's a very simple game, and I can sit down and play it. I don't even think it takes me 20 minutes to play it solo. I'm just flip and X out and flip and X out, and it's fun. It's great for, like I say, it's great for beginners in this hobby. It's easy to put to the table. It's one that if you, it plays up to 6 players, but if you want to play more people, you can buy 2 boxes and use the numbers from one of them. But as long as you have enough of those little small wipe off cards for everybody, that's why you would need another box, so that you would have enough of those for the full game. And you could have 12 people. You buy 3 boxes, you could do 18 people. It's a very simple one, and it's not that expensive either, which is why I say check out the video about it, because I'm sure I mentioned that all in that video. And Super Mega Lucky Box is my number 4. Hi, honey. I know my dog is begging here. You gotta wait a minute, okay? Wait. Good girl. My number 3 is Deadly Doodles. This is the one I had when I created the list of the favorite 20 in the world, roll and writes. This is the one I had. It was number 20 on that list. It's number 3 on my solo roll and write list, though it is a flip and write as well. It has it's kind of like you're drawing a path through a dungeon, and there's a dragon in there, and there's some monsters and some axes to kill the monsters and some bags of treasure, and you're trying to get the best score possible by going through. You flip up cards that have these different directions, and you draw paths using those shapes throughout your dungeon, and everyone is using the same shapes, same directions, but everyone does it a little bit different. And then at the end you score it, and there's some end game scores as well, and it's just a very simple flip and write game, and it's cute and it's different. It's like the only numbers in it is the scoring. I mean, really, people, it's really a very friendly game, even if it does have dragons on it. It's a very friendly game. It's my number 3. It came out in 2019, that magic year. And it takes, for solo, it takes about 20 minutes because there are 7 rounds. So it takes about 20 minutes for a solo player to play it. So there you have Deadly Doodles. Sorry, honey. My number 2 is called Biblios, Quill and Parchment. There is a card game called Biblios that's been around for several years, but this game came out last year in 2021. Biblios, Quill and Parchment, or in other words, roll and write. It has wipe-off boards. It plays up to 4 people, but it plays, in fact, I played this during lunchtime today at work. I just sat at my desk and pulled out what I needed and played a solo game of it today. The manufacturer says like 40 minutes. I'm here like, I would not have used 40 minutes of my lunchtime to play a game, a flip and write game by myself. There's like, no. I think it took me about 20, maybe 30 if I was like really slow, but I'm pretty sure it took me about 20. I didn't measure it, but I finished it and had it put away, and I had eaten, played it, and was ready to put it away with 15 minutes, and it had only been 45 minutes. So yeah, it doesn't take 40 minutes to play when you're playing a solo. With multiple players, yes, I can see it taking 40 minutes because everyone's got to score and do their little moves and everything, and that can slow things down and take their turns. But Biblios, Quill and Parchment is my number 2. You are monks in a monastery trying to get noticed by what's his name? Yeah, it doesn't say here. Oh, the abbot, trying to get influence with the abbot. You are you send a novice to go do good deeds. You pray in the chapel. You copy books of religion, philosophy, astronomy, herbs, and animals. And basically, you X out things. The dice roll, and then you decide what, these go here, these go here, no, go here, and no, these go here. I'm looking at it backwards, so yeah. This has to do with the little map up there. It's very simple. I mean, it's not very simple. It is easy. It is luck, yet you have decisions to make. It's not, you're stuck with it this way. I'm sorry, I got that thing. Something, a notice came down on my screen. I'm here going, I can't see the whole screen. So this is Biblios, Quill and Parchment, my number 2 of solo game roll and writes and flip and writes. Number 2. Number 1 was the number 1 of that list from last year, the one I ordered with that gift card, and it is still my number 1 choice when it comes to a solo game of flip and write, because it is a flip and write. No dice involved, just deck cards. And that is Welcome to. And I've got it banded like this to make sure that the cards don't go all over the place. It is called Welcome to Your Perfect Home. And in it, you are, everyone has a sheet like this, and it has 3 streets of houses, and you are numbering those houses in numerical order, in ascending order, and trying to fill certain criteria of cards that have things like you need two groups of 3 and a group of 4 houses that are all in one little, grouping. It has a fence around them, compound, or whatever you want to call it. But it's housing estates. That's what they call it, housing estates. You're creating housing estates depending on what the cards is. Now, the company says about 25 minutes, and I would say, when you know how to play it, even solo, it's 25 minutes, because even with several people playing it, it's a big pad of paper. If you get the pad, they do sell separately wipe-off boards with the neighborhood on it. They sell separately all sorts of expansion neighborhoods that have different themes on them, like Easter, or spring has Easter bunnies and hidden eggs. Christmas or winter has strung lights, and you get points for stringing lights between houses, and I think that's instead of estates or whatever. But anyway, Welcome to came out in 2018. And I would say plan on 25-30 minutes for the game, for the full game. It's a flip and write, and it was the favorite last year, plus when I did the list, and it is my #1 solo roll and write, flip and write game. Welcome to. Okay. Now I have 2 honorable mentions. These are 2 games that I own the game, and I play them a lot, but I play them on my phone. Let me pull up my games, and here is Quicks, and it's called Nochmal. The app is called Nochmal, but the game in English is called Encore. And I play these a lot because they can take 10 minutes on the app. It's a very quick filler. I'm waiting for something. I'm sitting there in a waiting room and I'm bored. I can pull up either of those, and 10 minutes later I'm done, and we go on to the, they called my name. I can come back to it and finish the game later. I love it. It takes up no space on the table. They are both great games, and I play them this way, but I really, really play them on my phone. So, Quicks came out in 2012. Encore came out in 2016. And they both take about 10 to 20 minutes, depending how slow, or if you're talking with people or watching something. But it's just a simple game and wonderful apps. I have no problems with the apps. And so that is my favorite 10 plus 2 roll and write and flip and writes that are well played as a solo game. All of them can be played with multiple people, but these are ones that have a specific solo play built into them. So you can, I have other roll and writes that can only be played with other people, with multiple people. That is not this list. This list is for you who find yourself, I want to play a game. It's only me, and I don't have a lot of time, and I don't have a lot of space. So what can I play? These are some suggestions for you. These are my favorite, and now you go ahead and figure out which one do you want to have as your first new one. I say first because, yeah, once you've tried it and you find you like these, you tend to get some more. And there are, for those who like heavier games, thinkier games, or brain burners, there are some roll and writes and flip and writes that have come out in the last year that are that heavy. But that's not my casual game channel, so if you want, ask me in the comments. Ask me what those are, and I'll give you a list of those as well. But these are fantastic games. Talk to you next time. Happy gaming. God bless you and your family. Bye.